we'll tie him up here and we'll just split up like last time, Troy. Maybe if you want to take one edge, I can go in the middle and someone else take the other edge. The scene when they put their tents up on the island there and they headed off way up the islands. Chances are we'll probably not see anything until we get way up there.
Okay. Yeah. On uninhabited islands around Nova Scotia, farmers keep their sheep. Now, of course, when it comes to shearing time, that means rounding them up, and it's border collies to work. That's today on NSK9. So you have to like plan all of this around
the tide and the weather, of course. You know, if it's raining, you can kind of shear, and if it's windy, you kind of get across. So October is a little more tricky.
Yeah, but you're not shearing in October, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's just about getting across to be able to take the lambs.
Yeah, bring them all in, separate the lambs, and then get the lambs in the boat and get them off the island.
Nova Scotia is home to around 3,800 coastal islands. On many of those, you'll find sheep, safe from the gaze of land-based predators. At the southernmost point of the province is Cape Sable Island, and not far offshore, a barrier island sporting a lighthouse that has welcomed fishermen for years. The only permanent residents on the island these days are sheep. Kevin Fitch tends these sheep, and when he arrives with friends and his border collies, the first task is to find those sheep and herd them along 7 kilometers of dunes and coastline to a pen waiting on the other end of the island, where spring shearing awaits.
Yes, so the majority of the sheep are going to be in this general area here. From here toward the lighthouse, over toward those cottages. We've got 2 guys walking down toward the lighthouse. If there's anything on the beach there or around the lighthouse, they'll drive them around the edge of the lighthouse, chase them along the gravel bank. Then there's a big pond. Once they pass that pond, they have a tendency to shoot off the gravel bank up this way. So I'm going to be here in the area with the dogs, and we are going to spread out along here, picking up little groups of sheep and pushing them all toward the beach. Right. So the plan is to get the whole flock on the beach, keep them on the beach, drive them all the way along the beach to the pen.
So this is really where the dogs make a difference.
This is where the dogs are going to be useful for sure, yeah. And once we get them on the beach, they're useful for keeping them on the beach too. So
right.
Up until now, I mean, they haven't had anything to do. They've just basically been following behind. There. Well, I would have brought another one instead of him this time. However, she's injured her paw. Right, so obviously I couldn't bring her out, and I've got another one that just had a litter. I've got another one that's in training. She's only 13 months old, so she's not quite ready yet. And I've got another one that's got an abscess. So this was what and this is me regular team anyway. I'm just a little concerned because he's getting a bit long in the tooth, and
yeah, it's hot. And
yeah.
But probably still enjoys it.
Oh yeah, he still loves it. He'll work until he drops. Really work until he drops. Go ahead.
In the lighthouse clear, we're starting to push some along the rock bed here. You might be able to see them in the background. That's about it back here.
Yeah, I see 2 on the gravel. Oh no, I see more than 2.
A bunch. There's 1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
Herding sheep on a farm is one thing, but herding sheep on an island, well, that's a completely different sort of challenge.
You could just do this on your farm. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Right? So what is the attraction to being out on the island with the dogs?
And it's totally different environment than what it is on a farm. The sheep are semi-wild. It's much more challenging, of course, for the dogs.
Is that part of the enjoyment for you too?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the dogs are tested to their limits in some instances with a sheep. What you'll find with this particular breed too, you have pockets of sheep here, another pocket here, another pocket here. You got a sheep on a farm and in a field. You know, the dog can often see all the sheep right from the get-go, and you just got to run around them and pick them up and bring them back. Here, you got the long grass, like I said, a little group here, a little group there. So the dog's got to think a lot more, and it's got to work a lot more. So it's a lot more challenging for the dog.
Overcoming those challenging conditions requires a lot of time, dedication to training, and excellent breeding.
I want to get into doing this with dogs.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give?
Get a well-bred dog and take the time to train it properly.
Because it is about training, isn't it?
Well, you need a well-bred one too. You know, you can get some of these collies from the puppy mills if you like, and they will have some instinct. But if you get a one that's been bred for a specific task, you get a better chance. You're not guaranteed, but you get a better chance to get the raw materials.
So they're like the working line breeds and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, all border collies will have it in them to some degree. However, like what the likes of people who are using them on a regular basis, when we breed two dogs, we're thinking about what we're wanting in the offspring. We're thinking about what we've got in the sire and the dam, the mother and father, bringing these together, what we're going to get for puppies. If you're just selling them, or if you're just breeding puppies to sell, you just want a litter of puppies. And you're not thinking perhaps so much about what the outcome of this particular breeding would be. Now, having said that, you can breed two really fantastic working dogs together, and you can still get a dot or two in the litter. That's how it works. But you get a better chance of getting a good one if you're using the correct raw material.
And you have more than just these two.
I got 6. Again, let's say we come back in October to bring the lambs off, and let's say something's happened to Trent in that time, or something's happened to Pip. Now I'm left with one dog, and Trent is getting quite old. He's more than 10 years old now, so he's slowing down. So you always want one coming up behind to replace the old one. And like I said, it takes you 2 or 3 years before you get them decent. It's not an overnight, I need a puppy next. I need a border collie to train to work sheep next week. I'll pop out and buy a pup 2 months ago, and I'll have him ready to go in 6 months' time. It doesn't happen like that. You'll never get a dog to work this island with like a 6-month, 1-year-old dog. It would be hard pressed to work this island.
Yeah, because this is a real challenge for it.
Well, yeah, it's a little more challenging, definitely, than pulling a few sheep out of a field. Yeah, there's no denying that.
Yes, they can. We see a lot of different types of allergies in vet medicine. They can range from food allergies, environmental allergies, which can be seasonal or non-seasonal, reactions to parasitic bites, as well as maybe inhalant allergies, which sometimes is also called atopic dermatitis. Dogs that tend to have atopic dermatitis usually have concurrent food allergies or sensitivities to these bug bites. So you might have a dog that is on a special vet hypoallergenic diet to control the food allergies, and they're doing well year-round, and then all of a sudden with a seasonal change, so when we have pollen spores in the air from grass, trees, weeds, then you might notice, okay, nothing has changed with the food, but now my dog is acting itchy throughout his body, he's got watery red eyes. Things like that can be the only change, as long as you're sure they haven't gotten into any other foods that they shouldn't be eating. But yeah, we do see it, and it's typically with seasonal changes.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of islands, right? This is just one out of, I don't know how many I've done, to be honest, but there's been some days it's been a little scary, especially on an island farther offshore. Yeah. Because you got to get a big fishing boat, like a regular Cape Island boat, and you'd anchor that offshore, and then you get the skiff from the Cape Islander to the island, right? And then get the sheep in the skiff and ferry them out to the fishing boat to take them off. Get up, Pep. Get up, Pep. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up, Pep. So we're good for another hour. That's nothing. I've like it's been knee deep and we've pushed them across before. Yeah, but it's pretty tricky.
Kevin and his dogs move the sheep around the coastline, timing their movements to cross channels that within hours will be filled by the tides and then become impassable. This is no farm where the fields can go for miles, but are always open to movement. Kevin's dogs use all their senses and instinct to move the sheep. The sheep and dogs are often hidden in the dune grasses as Kevin uses a specific series of whistles and commands to help guide the dogs. The ultimate destination is a paddock near the beach where the shearing will commence. And moving the sheep from the beach to the paddock is a task unto itself.
They get an idea where the sheep are, and then they'll head off and try and get around them. And you'll occasionally see them jump up with their head above the grass just to check to see where they are, in the right direction, and plus the whistles too.
Oh, right.
So I can direct them with a whistle. If they're running too tight, I can open them up or send them a little tighter.
So do both of your dogs have different whistle calls?
Yeah.
So that must take some time learning the whistle side of things for you.
Yeah, probably take me more learning than it does the dogs.
So you have 6 dogs. Does that mean that they all have
No,
different?
they haven't all got different whistles.
No, they're not all different then?
No. So these two here, they have a different left and right whistle.
Yeah.
They have the same stop whistle and the same walk-on whistle and the same that'll do whistle.
Right.
So essentially it's just the left and right. Now another dog at home, it has different whistles and different verbal commands. And so again, we use the whistle preferably over the verbal command because the whistle will carry farther, and especially on a windy day when you're on an island like this. So again, the basic commands for the dog to go left, her left, which would be clockwise around the sheep. For her whistle, see that? So she said went left. Stopped. So the long single one was a stop.
Yeah.
The two loud, quick ones was the left. To get that to go right, pip. Pip. Wee. See, she's gone right.
Yeah.
Lie down. So lie down just means stop. She doesn't have to actually lie down. She just needs to stop. That'll do. That'll do. That means we're finished. Come back.
And so this is, in a lot of ways, a game for them too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's built into them, right? They want to work. They've just got that desire, that instinct to work the sheep. So basically, as a trainer, what you need to do is bring that out and to direct them, right? Help them to learn. So it's not like you're working from scratch. It's not like you're trying to train a Labrador to herd sheep.
Because there is an instinct.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
And I mean, I think that's something most people wouldn't necessarily realize, that you can't just train any dog to, you're not going to have a Chihuahua out doing this. Or
Well, Chihuahua would be a tough call training a Chihuahua to do it. However, there are other breeds that have a certain amount of herding instinct, like a German Shepherd, for example, or a Shepherd. It's not as well developed as what a Border Collie is, and some other common breeds would be the Kelpie, the Australian Shepherd. They're both fairly common dogs. But for me, I'm just a devotee of the Border Collie. Everything else is, I like them, I enjoy them, I understand them.
This weekend is all about work. And this weekend's work is about getting sheep sheared and removing the rams from the island to go back to the farm. But Kevin's passion for farming, and sheep herding in particular, is clearly linked to his love of Border Collies.
Did you grow up with dogs?
I didn't grow up with sheepdogs. I've had a dog my whole life. I had a collie in the UK before moving to Canada. However, the one that I had, I didn't have a lot of training on it, and I lived on a dairy farm and take it out to get the cows in and just kind of around and bring them in without any commands, but it would just bring them in at its own speed, which was usually too fast for dairy cows. Stop it, you silly bugger. In the UK back in the 80s, I was in agricultural college. We went to the hill farm, and on this hill farm, it's a lonely place, valley, hills, sheep, that's it. Shepherd and his wife. And class of students went up to help out. Shepherd's on the hill with his dog. The sheep's up the hill, and he sends the dog way up the hill to bring the sheep. Gets up the top of the hill, blows a whistle, the dog stops, starts bringing him down, and the dog zigzagging across the hill, picking up pockets of sheep, bringing them down. That is just truly amazing, magical and mystical. How does the dog connect those whistles to the direction he has to go? I didn't understand how they could do that back then. And the mystery was, like, what is it about the dog that's making the sheep move away from it, right? Because the dog's, it's not barking or it's not biting, it's not chasing, it's just moving, and it's like creeping, and it's just the instinct of it, right? And that was the thing that really, my God, that's pretty incredible. That. I'd love to learn a bit more about that.
It seems that they may be able to judge time, and we see that with a dog becoming increasingly anxious while the owner is away. So the longer they're gone, the more anxious they become. That could also just be true anxiety. The other thing is anticipating dinner time, knowing that they get fed at this point of time. Again, could be habit, but there are some studies that show neurons being lit up during testing in events where a dog will anticipate an expected outcome. So we do think that they can judge time, but again, we're still learning for that.
Another island we were on, this was crazy. It had a steep bank, like embankment up to the island. So we again moored the fishing boat offshore, got in a skiff, got to the island, put the skiff, like tied it to a rock, left it on the shore, went away, got the sheep, brought the sheep in, sheared them, and the tide come in. And when the tide came in, because it was on such a steep slope, right, what happened, the boat kind of got hung up, and then when we come back down, the boat was full to the gunnels with water. So I had to bail the whole thing out before we get back out to the boat.
It's believed sheep have been raised on Cape Sable for as long as 200 years, perhaps more. But it hasn't always involved dogs.
The community, pretty much the whole community would close down. They'd bring all the kids across, and there would be a number of different people in the community who owned a few sheep each. So all the kids come across, and then they would all get together and try and herd the sheep into the pens. And then they did it, but
It shows you how many more people it would take than just having a couple of dogs.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Even today, the use of dogs in sheep farming in Nova Scotia is surprisingly limited.
I mean, what I find in Nova Scotia, that there aren't that many. There's a handful of where they have trained collies to work sheep. A handful, maybe 5, 10 of that's using them to work sheep on a regular basis. Now, if you go into the UK, pretty much everyone that has sheep has a collie. And I'm not quite sure why that is. I mean, because it can save you a huge amount of work. I think perhaps it's the time that's necessary to train them, right? Because it does take time, a little bit of knowledge and a lot of time. I mean, the majority of sheep farmers in Nova Scotia don't really have collies, and a lot of it you can do by shaking a bucket with some feed, and the sheep will come to you.
You can feed train sheep too.
Exactly. However, there are times where, for example, if the sheep want to get out and to get a fresh bit of pasture, shaking the bucket's not going to make a damn bit difference because they want that fresh pasture. Now the dog will make a difference. Personally, I just couldn't imagine having sheep without a dog. I'm so used to having them. You know, you can see the amount of work that they save is just tremendous. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd like to see them be used a bit more here. There is a fair bit of interest, but what I'm finding the interest is often coming from not so much people that have sheep, but border collies and they perhaps do agility or fly ball or something like that with their collies, and they want to give their collies the opportunity to work sheep because that's what they really want to do, the dogs, and so I get a few calls on that.
But that's hard, isn't it, though, if you don't own sheep of your own, because then you're always looking for somewhere to...
That's right. I mean, if you haven't got sheep, you can bring them out to someone that has, and maybe it will give you a lesson in that. But to really progress, it'd be best if you had your own sheep, because then we can go over some things to do, some things to practice. You can get away practicing on your sheep, come back again, see how you've done, and talk about where you go from here. Yeah, Ruth there, the one with the hat on, has a woolen mill, so she's buying that, and they like the wool from the islands because it's clean. The sheep have never been in a barn, so there's no manure in it, bit of sand, but other than that, it's good wool for that.
How does it make you feel to see all your work going and actually being turned into a product?
I'm really happy that it is being used, especially local. Right? It's going to the mill just outside of Truro there.
You are doing very much the traditional sheep herder thing here, aren't you? Like this is the way it's been done for hundreds of years, the way you're doing it.
Yeah, well, they've probably been on this island for close to 200 years. Doing it a little bit different, but I mean, we've got electric shears there, and we've got dogs to get them in the past. In the beginning, perhaps, they were hand sharing, and like I said, the community, a lot of the kids from the community came across and got the sheep in. So,
well, you're really the traditional shepherd in a lot of respects.
But the tradition of having the sheep on the islands, that's being continued by keeping the sheep here, right? I mean, as far as how you do it, that'll change through time, but it's the idea of just keeping the sheep on the islands.
What do you get out of this? Because, I mean, you could do sheep farming with, like, say, the pale.
I enjoy it, right? I mean, I enjoy it. I really enjoy working with the dogs. It's great to see them work. They're doing what they were bred to do. The dogs love it. And, I mean, what's not to like, right? You're out on a beautiful island like this. The sun is shining, there's sheep around, there's seeing the dogs doing their thing. And these sheep, too, you'll not get a more natural product than lambs off the islands.
So how do you feel about a job well done? Pretty good satisfaction, eh? Good job.
I mean, why could you not like it? For God's sake, look at the place. I mean, what's not to like?
I guess you're kind of like in paradise, aren't you?
What?
You're kind of in paradise.
I enjoy it, yeah. It's just something I really enjoy doing. I walk the beach, I see me sheep, I work me dogs, and I'm in the fresh air. Jeez. I mean, what else could be better, for God's sake? Maybe I've just got a limited imagination.
I don't know. I think that's great. I think it's great. Playing frisbee with your dog is a popular pastime, and as a sport, it's called disc dog. Well, that's next week on NSK9.
The first two that we're going to do are pairs games, so there will be 2 people, 1 dog, and then however many discs the game requires, and they'll play to get points. And then there's the freestyle game today that will include tricks and jumps and vaults and stuff like that, choreographed to music.
That sounds fun.
It's a lot of work to prepare, but yes.
And to learn, I would think.
Yes, yeah, you've got to be pretty dedicated.
Wow.